For example, for exterior wall, we need to for each mat each for each layer. If we for example we have a 3 layers, and 3 layers for one wall, for exterior wall, and we need to define information for each layer. For example, for the toughest layers, we need to add the name. For example, it's better to add the name, and for example, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, it's up to you, but it's better to do it. Maybe later if we have a problem, we can come back and solve the problem. So, for example, for thickness, for conductivity, and for density, and for example, roughness, and other things that information that we need to know about the types of the layers that we are using as a one of the layers of our wall. When you can add it to this component, to HVAC optic material, you can find this component on tab Energy Plus tab on part 1, construction. And just review everything that I have that I did. You can use the construction for that. For option 2, you can customize and using the HP search construction and use the Honeybee library. And you can customize each layer by using the Energy Plus, by using the energy Honeybee library. So let's go to organize this one. Okay, so it's the another way that you can use, and you need to use this component and add it customize layers of material. For option 2, you can the same as option 1, you need to this component, but for adding the material, you need to add specific numbers for the material according to the catalog or according to the information that you have. For you can use this part of construction tab to define the. Let's go for construct set and learn how we can add a different ways of energy of a construct set to our process. Um, as I told you, we have a different ways. The ways, we have a different option. The easiest ways that we have used the default, is the Honeybee library and Honeybee default information. But if you have a special program, a special information for construct set or programming or a schedule, you need to have and use another way to add the programmings. Uh, let's go for option one and option two. The first way it's the default, as I told you. You can came back and just follow what I did for this part, and it's easiest way that you can add it, the construct set to our process. But I told you you need to know about the other ways as well. You can find this component, as I told before, on HP energy tab, and on the zero parts and basic properties. You can find this all of this component, and use them. Just give the climate zone vintage and construct type to the the main component, and then you can add the construct set to the process. And is the metal building, if you wanted to, I explain about this part before, if you which standard that you are using it, and it's important, and with climate that you are working on it, your building located in on where it is important, the location of the project is important. So if you want to know about how you can um, you know the information, and how know about the default information, and if you want to know about that, you need to use the go to the Honeybee energy tab on the second part on constructions is number one part. You need to choose this component and pick up this component, and just put it on a canvas, and it helps you to and just added the panel to each you know exit and the part, and you can find what numbers exactly Honeybee are using and for your are using for construct set. Just go to construct set and choose this component. You need to choose the construct set component, because you have already have the construct set by default, and you want to know what's the information and what's the numbers. So you need to use the construct set, because you wanted to know, added the panel to each one, and gain the information. For example, for this one, for example, that we can find the type of the isolation and type of the the roof, and type If you want to know about the exterior, for example, wall, exterior, for example, roof and floor, you need to choose this component and add the process to this component, and then you need to add the panel to each one, for example, for exterior wall, exterior roof, exterior floor, and then gain the information. If you want to have interior, know about the interior wall and other things, you need to choose the the components that use for interior. You can find all of these components from HP Energy tab, and on number one tab you can find all of them. If you want to know more about, for example, each part, for example, for exterior wall, you want to what's the layer, what is the material, what is the R value, what is the U factor, what is the SHGC and others, you need to use this component and just add it. For example, exterior wall to this component, and then added the panel to that component. It's completely, you can follow this this way that I am writing, and I'm using, and you can find the information that you want. For example, for the layer, we have, you can, as you can see, we have two layer exterior roof, and we have the material of the each layer, you can see it. And if you want to know more about the material, you need to add another component that is specific, can specific that that component can show you a specific material information. For example, if you I change it to the, for example, you can change any information. For example, how many layers we have. As you can see, exterior wall, and we have three layer for that one. And you can see we have three layer, 0, 1 and 2. It's the three layer that you can find we have. And if you want to know about more information about the material, you need to pick up this component and just add the material to that one. And you can just add the panel to each one. It is just this kind of the component is the construct. For example, the construct component, or some component like that. As you can see, if you have a three layer, and you can give more information about the material. As the this kind of the component just give you information. It is not doing anything on the process of the um, energy analysis. Just give you information what type of material Honeybee is using, because you are, when you are using the default, you need, sometimes you need to know about that. So with this way, it just helps you know what types of the material, for example, what types of the information that Honeybee is using for energy analysis. And not for default, sometimes you forgot, or you are using the another file that other people work on it, and you need to know very fast what number we have. You can use this component and easily find what kind of the numbers is using on the energy analysis process. But this kind of the component uh, doesn't don't any things on um, energy analysis process. Just give you information, just give you information, what is the numbers, what is the document, and what is some things like that. But uh, it's not the component that you need to use for energy analysis. For example, we have different layers, we have the numbers, the names, and you can just easily use this way and find the numbers. You can do this process for interior, a wall, ceiling, floor, and windows, and other things as well. It's the process is like completely the same. As you can see, we change it the construct type to wood, and from metal to wood, or every the numbers, the materials, and everything's will change because it's the uh, completely depends on the construct types that are using. Exactly the same for interior wall. For windows, skylight, or other things, you can just add it and find the numbers. For example, is 0.55 SHGC for glazing. Is the first way that you can use, and if you want to know the information, you need to use the construct set component, and can find the numbers exactly that Honeybee is using. Let's go a little bit organize this part for better. It's good. Let's go for option number one. In a second way, option one, we can add the we can use the Honeybee library, but we can customize each layer. For example, each layer of the wall, and we can customize each, for example, material and other things. But still, we use the Honeybee library. So the differences between option one and option two is that the differences between option one and default is that on default Honeybee used the numbers, and sometimes most of the time is ideal number for that climate, and you cannot change the material and other things because you are using the default information. But in option two, you still use the Honeybee library, but you customize the layers, customize the material and others. And the differences between option one and option two is that on option two, you are completely at your number. You don't use the Honeybee library. So for on default, default, you have not any control on the information. You can just use the construct set to find what is the numbers, what is the information, what is the material and other things. On option one, you are using a Honeybee library but customize it. And option two, you don't use the Honeybee library. You have your own numbers for each, for example, for each material, and you're planning to use that numbers. The differences between ways Explaining the differences between ways, and you can use each way that find what is the best way that you can approach your energy analysis process that you have. Let's go to Honeybee energy tab, and on number tab number 1 construction, you can go and find all of the component that are using on for this process, for option 2 process. We have these two component, and both of them helps us to customize the the layers. You have two way. You can just write the name, for example, for its wall, it is the windows. You can or you can just add the panel, and with the item selector choose each layers that you want, for example. It's completely easy to first use the keyword. For example, you can on a keyboard add the panel. For example, it's wall, it's floor, and it's everything that you are searching on the library. But for now, I'm just using the this way added. I'm just trying to show you what material we have. You can use the windows on windows construct set part, and choose the with the item selector, choose the types that you want. For example, after you can you chooses the type of the window, you can find the, for example, SHGC and other material information that other information for this special material. Another way that sometimes for example, what type of a material do you want. You need to, write the name of the material and the type of the material, but you need to know, need to write exactly the same way that the Honeybee library uh, is using that. Mm, if you have have a wrongly write, for example, some things, the Honeybee cannot recognize this is the special, and this is the the material, the type of the uh, construct set that you are using. It is important to write exactly the same as way that Honeybee is using it. Example, generic babel panel. It's important to write the same. For example, capital um, number, capital word is used the capital, and other things. It's important. I'm typing several times to show you if you have any problem. It's important to write the exactly the same as way the Honeybee is using. You can just if you know about that, you can just write this, and add this panel instead of use the item selector and other things. You can use the just use the panel instead of. It's up to you. If you know about the material, you need to use this component. If you are know about the construct set, you need to use the um, up component. You can, customize the material and customize construct set with this component. So for next step, you can add and customize your material and construction. Go to the tab, Energy Plus tab, and go to the construction. Go to the this part, and you can add these components, for example, and also optic construction and HP window construction. Uh, as I told before, each part of for example, tab has a a special word. For example, I explained about HB search construction and HB search material, and we are using these two components for uh, option one. And for option for default option, I use the HB the construction, and HB the construction set interior, and HB the construction material, and HB the construction set. As well, you can use the second part, and the construct set component for gaining the information. What's the number? What is the information? And for HP construction set, and for third part, as you the most stop here, stop there, for that one you can add the material, windows, and construct set. For the next and fourth part, you can but especially you know define the material, for example, define the layers and other things. It is very good organized system that you can use for energy, and for energy process. You need to you can just pick up this component that I that I am using it. Then and customize each layer of material. For example, each layer of material for windows, each layer, you know um, for example, it's the material. You can define the different types of the material, and then you need to merge all of the material to each other as a one. For example, unique wall. For example, in the wall we have four, three, or two layers. You need to merge the layers to each other, because it's a honeybee need to know as a one wall. So it's important to add to merge them. Let's go to learn how we can do it. So we need to start from the smallest part. The smallest part is the different layers. You can use these components for defining each layers. If you and then we need to define the for example this layer, and add these layers to the our wall, to a roof, on or floor. For example, on the wall, I explained we have a three layers. We need to define these three layers, and then added this merge these three layer as a one layer, and then added that one layer to the exterior, for example, wall. For roof and floor, we need to do this process. For windows, for interior windows, for exterior windows, for all of things that we want to have a different and we need we want to have a customized layers. We need to first define the layers and then merge the layers and then define the wall and other things to construct set component. So let's go for different parts, for example, for windows, interior windows, for a skylight or other things. We have a special component for that one. You can find the numbers and the name of the each components on top of that. Please go to tab number 0 and choose HP construct set. And this is the main component, and we need to add the wall information, for example, exterior information, interior information, and other things to this component to define the construction set. If you can add all of these numbers. If you don't add any numbers or add special numbers or choosing a special numbers or a special material, other things from the library component, Honeybee use the default. So in option 1, we are planning to add we are planning to customize. So we need to define each layers by yourself. But if you don't use, for example, you use some of define some of parts, some of, for example, material, and don't define other materials for all of them. For example, you define the materials for wall, but you didn't define the material for roof. Honeybee use the default information for roof. So be careful about that. You need to define, if you want to have a special construction type, you need to define, and you need to search on a library and customize the construction type, and then merge information and add to construction set component. Let's go, for example, for one of them and explain about that. For example, you can, if you know about the name, you can just add the name on it, and or the material name, and you can just add it with a panel, and you can define the exterior wall. But for now, I'm planning to use the item selector for choosing them and customize the layers. For example, for it is the for material. Um, let's go to for this material and choose the special material for wall. For example, we have different layers. If we have different layers, we can add it. If you want to, what's the information about? For example, if you choose a material, for example, for this material generate 25 millimeter isolation, you can use the construction set component to find what's the value, what's the R value, what is the the numbers, what is the layers, and what is something like that. You can gain information. Uh, can gain information before adding customized layer to the as a your material, one of the your layer material to Honeybee. For example, for this type of a specific material that I used, this is the information for that one. So, for example, for now, for exterior wall, I'm planning to have three layers. One layer is stucco. The middle layer is insulation, and the second layer and the last layer I wanted to be a gypsum board. I need to use all of these uh, numbers and all of these layers from the library, because in option 2 we are using the library to customize our layer of material and others. For example, for exterior wall, as I told you, I wanted to three layer stucco, insulation, and um, gypsum board. Let's go to do it. As I told you, you can use the construct set and you can find, for example, what is the number for thickness or other things. It is, just I'm just trying to say to show you how you can find measurements, and how you can use the construction set in each part of the project to know what's the number and what's the information and what's the material and other things. We need to use the item selector to and we just added, for example, 25 insulation. As I told you, I wanted to be in middle of my layers. Just I need to you know have a merge component. You can just type merge and added these layers. You want to have three layers and you need to Let's to connect the insulation to number D2 because it's the middle of layer. And let's go for stucco and gypsum board. I take the stucco and let's go for gypsum board. Item selector and edit the last layer. You can add, you know, uh, interior wall, exterior roof, floor, and others with this way, and then immerse them, add to the component, and add to exterior set. For example, if you have an exterior wall, roof, and floor. For ground set, you have this option that use a different component for the interior wall, ceiling, floor, and interior window. You can use this process as well, just choosing from library using item selector, or write on a panel the exact layer's name, and then merge them, and then add it to interior construction set. So let's go to interior wall. So let's say it organize. It's for exterior wall. Let's go for interior wall. Use item selector. Use that one. Choose the layer. For example, for interior wall, you want, for example, 4 layers. It's just for example. We have acoustic tile, and we need to add on a merge. Just try the merge and merge component, and just add to the first one. Let's go for later for the second layer. For example, is I installation, maybe different type of isolation. It's up to you to use them. Let's go for another layer, and then we need to add the material and add to interior wall. Why we have this this error? Because we added another layers on the merge, D1, D2, D3, but we have just D1 and D2. We need to add the D3 and remove D4 because we just wanted to have three, for example, layer. And you can see the interior wall, and this the HP interior construction subset component became gray. It means it's okay and everything works very well. So it's completely depends on your idea to have one layer, two layer, three layers. It's up to you. Let's go for windows. You can any option to choose, for example, fixed windows, for example, operable windows and other types of the windows. It's completely up to you that according your project use the we just need to add the merge if our windows have a different layers. For example, we are a air in middle of layers and we are a gap between the between windows layer. For example, we have two glass layers, and in the middle we have air. We need to add the merge component for that. We need to use this component for adding different layers of windows. If just you have one layer, you need just added the material on that, and add and define it. For example, it's the opera wall, it's the skylight or the windows. It's up to you to add them. If you have a it's this window is operable, you can add to the toggle. You can add the skylight if you have. The process completely the same as the windows. You have add the different types of the layers of the skylight if you have. You can add the exterior door, and if it's your exterior door have a glass and other things to this component. So is the let me know a little bit organize the works. Explain you can search the material from the library. You can use the library for an option 2 for defining different layers. We can find the information, what's the difference, for example, thickness and other types, other information about the material with the deconstruction set. Sorry. So let's go for option 2. I explained different parts that you can add material with the Honeybee library in option 1. And it means in option 1 you use the material library, but you can customize the material. But in option for option 2, it's the same as option 1, but instead of we use the Honeybee library, we added the specific information about the material that we have and we are planning to add to the um, material component. It means we don't use the Honeybee library. We directly add the specific number, for example, for thickness, for roughness, and some things like that, as a if you are added the material. So let's go to show you how you can add it. This how you can add completely manually the information to the construction set component. Let's copy that one because this part is the same. This because this part is the same. And let's go to add each layer completely manually. You need to pick up HB optic material component, HB glass material component, and HB uh, you know uh, HP window gap material. If you have a double have a different layers for the windows, you need to add HP pick up HP window material component as well. It's according to the everything that you want to make a layers for each windows, for each rooms. We need to add the pick up this component and then define the layers, and merge the layers added to main component. And with this process you can define the difference and a specific material for windows, for walls, for floor, for roof. It's completely up to you and up to your projects. For example, for exterior wall, uh, we can uh, add manually each layers. For example, if we have 3 layers, we need to define information for each matter for each layers, and then merge the layers. For example, for exterior wall, we need to for each for each layer. If for example we have a three layers, and three layers for one wall, for exterior wall, and we need to define information for each layer. For example, for the toughest layers, we need to add the name. For example, it's better to add the name, and for example, layer one, layer two, layer three, it's up to you, but it's better to do it maybe later. If we have a problem, we can come back and solve the problem. So, for example, for thickness, for conductivity, and for density, and for example, roughness, and other things that information that we need to know about the types of the layers that we are using as a one of the layers of our wall. When you can add it to this component, to HVAC optic material, you can find this component on tab Energy Plus tab on part 1, construction. And just added the numbers according your, for example, if you have a special material, you have a catalog or brochure for that, you can add it, gain these numbers from that catalog, and add to your this component. It's completely up to you, and a specific material that you are planning to use it. For example, for roughness, you can just type different types of just you can just keep your mouse on that on for example, roughness, and give information what's that you need to write, for example, for roughness and for others. If you have a problem, you can just keep the your mouse in top of the message, and just read what is the problem, and you can serve it. You can easily solve it and find what is the problem. For example, if we have different layers, and if we added two different component, the for example, if we added HP optic material and optic material no mass to HP optic construction component, at the same time we get error, and the HP optic construction became red. We need to define the merge, and add first merge all of the layers, and then added the merge component to you know to HP optic construction uh, set component. So in that part, we have a two layers, and we have a one, middle layers. It's the, for example, is the uh, isolation, and you can know mass, and you can, for example, add it. It's just for example. You can, most of the time you can find, if you have a special walls type wall, you can find the information on the catalog, and you can find, and even you can define the new walls and new layers by yourself. For the windows is the same. You can add the name and the U factor SHGC if you have to the to the HP window material. And if you have a gap between the Windows layers, you need to add HP window gap um, material. and then add it to the merge component. If just you have a one layer, you can directly add this HP window material to the HP window construction component. But if you don't, we have a special windows with the different layers. You need to first merge the layers to each other, define the layers, merge the layers, and then apply to HP window construction component. If you have a different layers for the window, you need to use the HP glass material instead of HP window material. Be careful about that, because for HP window materials, the top, uh, you know, uh, um, uh, we just need to add one layer because it just works as a one layer. But if you have a different layer, you need to add you need to have and pick up HB glass material component. You need to know about the transmittance, reflectance, conductivity and others. If you have the numbers, you can add it. If not, the Honeybee use the default uh, information for that. But most of the time you can find this number in any catalog, and if you have a special product that you want to use, most of the time you can find this number from the catalog of that company and manufacturer. Let's go to add merge. This is the first layer, this is the second layer, and the things that if you have a three layers and on the merge component you have D1, D2, D3, or D4 and D4, you know that it's HP Windows construction. If you have three layers and on the merge component you have four, you have four, and then added this. Four layers, and then added this the merge component to the HP window construction. uh, HP window construction became red because you need to for example, the merge component have the exact number of layers. For example, if you have three layers, you need to have D1, D2, D3. And if you have D4, and even you don't attach any component to it, it's makes your the process wrong, and it you need to completely have a match number with the merge component and the layers. Okay, we have a two layers and one gap, and we can use this layer. Just let me know to organize it, and we can add instead of that, we can add this one. Let's go for, so it's the default, as you can see. Just explain again the construction, and just I'm just review everything that I have that I did. You can use the construction for that. For option 2, you can customize. I'm using the HP search construction and use the Honeybee library, and you can customize each layer by using the energy plus by using the energy Honeybee library. So let's go to organize this one. Okay, so it's the another. way that you can use, and you need to use this component and add it customize layers of material. For option 2, you can, the same as, option 1, you need to this component, but for adding the material, you need to add, specific numbers for the material according to the catalog or according to the information that you have. For you can use this part of construction, tab to define different layers of the material. So these all things that you need to about the construction set, and for next time I will add the windows and shading uh, to the the process, and after that we can go to the programming, different types of the programming that we can add different types of ways that you can add the programs to the process. As we told, we need to define the shading, we need to define the windows, and then we need to um, add all of the shading to the one data, and then added the data to the process. As I told you, we have a two way. One of them is completely manually, and for this tutorial I'm using the manually adding the windows and shading, but we have another ways, is the percentages ways that we can just use the another component, the special component for adding the windows with the percentage in the north, west, east and south, and for the shadings this is the same. You can use add manually, and or you can add it with the percentage, and it means you can have a control on how many percentages that you want to have each elevation, and each north, and for example each elevation that we have windows, and what percentage windows and shading uh, you want to have each elevation. Let's go to add all of the windows and shading to the R space. Don't forget to internalize each surface, because later if you have wrongly remove some surface, there's no problem for your process. But if you have wrongly remove a surface, and later you find it can affect on um, the energy results, and you need to add and read and redraw the surface again. So it's better to internalize the surface to the honeybee. And if you are wrongly remove some things, it's still you can use that surface. Okay. uh, Adding the surface, windows. You can just lock the ground. It's better, maybe it works for me very well to control, to have a more control on surface of the building. And let's add all of the windows. If you have doors, you can add it, the doors as well. For this tutorial, I'm not planning to add the doors, but you can add doors. If you have your doors have a special, is a glass door, you need to define different program and different construction standard material that I show you, and I learn you how you can add the different material with a special material to your process. The special windows, you need to define it. It's very fast. Show you how I'd add all of the windows manually to all of the surface. And we have all windows, and I added all of the windows. It's better to make organized, or have a good organization for the process, for example, is the windows and if you have a windows, door, and shading, it's better to have a one group for them. And then you need to add all of them to one data. Just let me know to add the you know all of the windows to one data. It is the one way that you can use. There's a many ways, but I for this tutorial I prefer to add all of the windows to a one data, but you can use another way, and I try to make another tutorial to show you how many different ways that you can add the windows, all of the windows, and add the windows to the process. For now I'm just planning to added all of the windows to one data. Maybe later I show you how you can uh, do this process with a different way. Is to change the name of the data to the rooms to rooms. And for shading is the same. You can add it all of the shading to the one data. And then you need to have use a flatten, because you have a different rooms, and to need to use it flatten to organize and list them. And you can do this process with the shading as well. Don't forget to flatten. Thanks for watching the second part of thermal comfort analysis for the new tutorials for new tools of Ladybugs. Um, for next part, I'm planning to explain about how you can add um, specific uh, schedule to the process. And please stay tuned and follow me to learn how you can add a different how you can add the schedules to the process, and you can learn how different ways that you can add the schedule. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you. For example, for exterior wall, We need to for each for each layer. If for example we have a three layers, and three layers for one wall, for exterior wall, and we need to define information for each layer. For example, for the toughest layers, we need to add the name. For example, it's better to add the name, and for example, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, it's up to you, but it's better to do it maybe later. If we have a problem, we can come back and solve the problem. So, for example, for thickness, for conductivity, and for density, and for example, roughness, and other things that information that we need to know about the types of the layers that we are using as a one of the layers of our wall. When you can add it to this component, to HVAC optic material, you can find this component on tab energy plus tab on part 1, construction. And just review everything that I have that I did. You can use the construction for that. For option 2, you can customize and using the HP search construction and use the Honeybee library, and you can customize each layer by using the energy plus by using the energy Honeybee library. So let's go to organize this one. Okay, so it's the another way that you can use, and you need to use this component and add it the customize layers of material. For option 2, you can the same as option 1, you need to this component, but for the adding the material, you need to add specific numbers for the material according to the catalog or according to the information that you have. For you can use this part of construction tab to define the